If they were to let me know some of these things, I don't think anything would have changed, but I probably would have been a little bit more prepared because I was not ready for this, okay? Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It is your girl, Msparisrene. So, as you can see, baby Riley is here. I don't even know what to say. I'm still in like disbelief. I am currently going on 3 weeks postpartum. I know that is not a long time at all, but I just don't even know what to say. I'm just still in disbelief. It felt like just yesterday I was peeing on a stick and it told me I was pregnant, and now today I have a whole baby. Like, what? So in today's video, I just wanted to let y'all know 8 major things that they do not tell you about childbirth, okay? So I know, once you're pregnant, you go into it not knowing what to expect, what to do. You're just winging it, right? New moms, expecting moms, grandmothers, partners, you know what I'm saying? Like, the person that you know is pregnant, they're winging it. And you have to be there by their side to help them out, give them advice, whatever the situation is. But there are major things they do not let y'all know going into this. And I'm not talking about caring for the newborn. I'm talking about actually delivering the newborn, okay? If they were to let me know some of these things, I don't think anything would have changed, but I probably would have been a little bit more prepared because I was not ready for this, okay? The first thing they do not let you know about childbirth is that doctor that you're seeing every month, or those doctors that you go to and see every month, they're probably not the ones delivering your baby. I went into labor November 28th, Thanksgiving Day, and I hope Thanksgiving's on the 28th. Okay, I went to labor on Thanksgiving night around 6 o'clock, right? And basically, once I got to the hospital, my doctor wasn't the one on call. The only doctor that was available to deliver my baby was the on-call doctor. And that was a doctor I never met. Through the 5 doctors that I went and I seen throughout my pregnancy, none of them were the ones to deliver my baby. It was a whole different lady. I never met her. And honestly, when I initially went in and they seen that I was okay, about to give birth or whatever the situation was, I didn't see her until the end, until it actually came actually, I take that back. When that night that I went in, since I did not give birth that night, they actually had shift change, and it was a morning doctor that ended up delivering my baby. And I never met her either. So not only did I have to meet the doctor from that night, and she wasn't the one, but it was a whole new different lady that delivered my baby. And both of them I never met. But they were both the on-call doctors for that weekend. So I had no other choice. Riley needed to come out, and they delivered. Well, she delivered her. Okay, the second thing they do not tell you about childbirth is that, you go into it and they say, oh, you're going to feel contractions, and then that's when you're going to know to head to the hospital, that. Not only do you feel contractions, but sometimes you tend to not even get contractions. During my experience, when I didn't even go into labor, my water broke. That's how I knew it was time to head to the hospital. And let me tell y'all the story behind it. Me and my boyfriend were at the grocery store, okay? Just doing regular shopping. I know, like, why are you shopping on Thanksgiving? But he ended up not feeling good. He kind of like was under the weather a little bit. And we were supposed to go with family, but we decided to stay home. We slept in all day. I was pregnant. I was exhausted. I was big too. So I just really didn't want to go anywhere. And, yeah, so once we woke up, we were hungry. So we decided to go to the store. Once we left the store, I was like, something don't feel right. Like I said, y'all, I'm warning y'all, this video has a lot of TMI, so if you don't want to hear it, just close off the video now, okay? Anyway, So I was telling him, like, I just wasn't feeling right. Like, I felt fluid, you know, from on my vagina. Like, it just didn't feel good. So he was looking at me. He was thinking I was playing, or probably doing a prank on him. No, that wasn't the case. It wasn't as, you know, it wasn't a lot to where I was freaking out, but it just didn't feel regular. So we continued shopping. We finally got back home now. So I wanted to go check myself. I went to the restroom. I used the bathroom. As I was coming out of the bathroom when he was putting up the groceries, bam, my water broke. And if you never experienced your water breaking before, it is going to be like a foreign language to you. You're going to be like, what the heck is going on? Like, what is this? But the sensation of it, it's so uncomfortable. It's like, you feel like you're peeing on yourself, literally. Okay? So my water broke. I looked at him and I just told him, I said, my water broke. He's looking at me like, you're lying. I'm like, my water broke. And I made my ugly cry face. So then he knew I was serious. Okay, so he came, he checked it out. He was like, yeah, your water broke. So mind you, y'all, I was supposed to have Riley December 28th, okay, to December 31st. In between that time, she ended up breaking my water November 28th. That's a whole month in advance. So I did not have my hospital bag ready. I did not have her hospital bag ready. I didn't have anything ready. Her nursery wasn't finished. I just had everything in the crib. Like, didn't put up anything. So nothing was really prepared, okay? So as I'm grabbing stuff to throw into the bag, things that I'm thinking that I might need, I call my mom. She's all the way in Florida celebrating Thanksgiving with our family. And I tell her my water broke. And she's just like in disbelief. And she was like, oh my God, I have to hop on the next flight. Y'all, long story short, it was crazy. But we decided, okay, let's head to the hospital. Mind you, during this time, I did not feel any contractions, didn't feel any pressure, didn't feel nothing. It was just constant fluid leaking out of my vajayjay, okay? The most uncomfortable feeling. From the time we left the house to the time we're heading to the hospital, there was mad traffic. So the ride ended up taking about 30 to 40 minutes due to the disbelief of traffic there was. Like, it was just ridiculous. And the whole time I just had constant fluid coming out of my vajayjay. You would have thought this is gonna be a lot, but I'm gonna say it. You would have thought someone took a gallon water jug, turned it upside down in your vajayjay and just let it pour out. It was just constant, non-stop, okay? And at least I had sweats on to kind of like soak it up, but no, it wasn't helping. So once we got to the hospital now, I'm so happy my boyfriend went in and got me a wheelchair, because sitting on the wheelchair made it feel a little bit better, because I didn't want to walk into the hospital just leaking fluids everywhere. So I sat on a wheelchair, and then once I got up to registration where I had to fill out the paperwork or whatever, and like I said, I didn't feel any contractions or anything like that, so it wasn't a rush thing. I just knew that my water was breaking. So she gave me like little things to sit on to soak up the liquid. And, you know, normally they turn you around and say, oh, you're not in active labor, this, that, and the third. But since my water broke, I was leaving with a baby. Oh, yeah. All right. Mom's gonna get you your milk. I know. It's hard being a baby. Here. Riley, move your hand from your face, please. Thank you. There you go. There you go. All right. The third thing they do not tell you about childbirth. So as you already know, my water broke early, a month early. So basically, one thing they do not let you know, that if your water does break, and if it does put you and your baby at a risk of, like, you know, anything, they're going to induce you. I was not in active labor. I wasn't feeling contractions. My water just broke. So with inducing you comes with, you know, different tricks they try to open up your cervix, so, you know, you get ready for that time to push. So basically, the things that they did to me the number one thing they did was they gave me medication to try to open up my cervix. And I think that dilated me up to 4 centimeters. And then it wasn't working fast enough, so they inserted a balloon into my vagina. And basically what the balloon did was, after they gave me the medication, once the balloon falls out, that let them know that, okay, her cervix is dilated enough to where we can either do something else or she could push. I don't even know how it went, but they put a balloon up my vagina. It felt so uncomfortable. They told me once it fell out, then they wouldn't have to put it back in, but I'll be dilated enough to go on to the next step. And mind you, most women, when they go in and they feel contractions, they're already dilated up to 6 centimeters, 8 centimeters, almost ready to push. It wasn't like that with me. I had to start all the way from the beginning, okay? And it was just a very uncomfortable feeling. Another thing they don't tell you about inducing you is that it brings on a lot of nausea. All of that pain and everything was putting my body into somewhat shock. Like, I felt nauseous. I think I threw up about 5 times. And so after my boyfriend was there as like my support system, because he had to constantly run back and forth and get me those long blue plastic bags that they have there, because I just kept throwing up. Like, it was just really uncomfortable. Mind you, I'm like, you know, when you're 2 centimeters dilated, 4 centimeters dilated, like I said, most women don't feel that, because once they start feeling contractions, they're already 6 centimeters dilated. I had to start from the beginning. So I felt the pain all the way up from when I was not in labor all the way to 6 centimeters, okay? And I think once it got to about 7 centimeters, I couldn't take the pain anymore. Like, even they looked at the monitor and they see how my waves are going, because, you know, it shows like your heart rate, everything like that. Every time a contraction hit, it would drop and then skyrocket back up. So even the nurse came in and was just like, oh my gosh, are you okay? Because I can tell these contractions hurt pretty bad. And I'm like, I'm dying. I'm freaking dying. And another thing they don't tell you about inducing you is that basically it takes a long time. I was in labor. Well, I was being induced all the way from, I would say, they started 8 o'clock Thanksgiving night, and I ended up pushing all the way, no, I ended up pushing around 12 o'clock in the PM the next day. So I was in labor for more than 12 hours, okay? Like I said, the beginning wasn't that bad, but as my cervix started opening up and I felt those contractions, it hurts, okay? It is excruciating pain, all right? So that's another thing they do not tell you about childbirth. Sometimes they have to induce you, and when they induce you, it takes a while. And while you're waiting, you're gonna feel it, because it hurts pretty bad. Okay. So the fourth thing they do not let you know about childbirth is that, you know, everyone knows you have the option of getting an epidural. But one thing they did not let me know is that before you can get the epidural, you have other options as well. You could start off with a pain medication, or you could decide to just jump straight in and get the epidural. Or you could decide to just not do any and just do it natural. So I went in with the mindset, I want to do everything natural. I do not want epidural, because, you know, you hear a lot of horror stories about it and it kind of scares you or whatever. You don't want to put yourself or your baby at risk of anything. So I kind of went in with the mindset like, I could do this. Epidural who? I don't need it. But due to the fact that my situation was a little different and I was not dilated at all and they had to induce me, it did complicate things. So I felt the constant pain all the way, I would say, for about 8 hours while in labor straight, okay? So I dealt with the pain. I felt the pain, but I wasn't gonna feel it any more longer. So I would say around 7 o'clock the next morning, once I got 7 centimeters dilated, the pain was just too horrendous. I couldn't take it anymore. And I'm not gonna lie, I really couldn't take it. Like, even my boyfriend was looking at me like, are you good? Are you about to die? Because I was constantly shaking. I was constantly throwing up. Like, I couldn't focus on anything. Like, it was just too much, okay? So I opted in for the epidural. But before that, once I got 5 centimeters dilated, I got some fentanyl, which is a pain medication. The fentanyl, I didn't like the way it made me feel because it made me feel really drowsy. It made me feel like a drunk, just without the nauseous feeling. Like, it just twisted up my world, and I didn't like it at all. And I don't even take medicine at all, so it just gave me a feeling I didn't like. But it did kind of numb up my body for, I would say, about an hour, and then the pain came right back, especially as I started to dilate more. So once I decided I wanted to do the epidural, they had to put me on a fluid called lactated ringers first. I'm not sure what it's for, but they had to put me on that first, run that for a while, and then the anesthesiologist came in. So she came in with her assistant as well, and you know, when they're doing epidural, it's a very serious procedure because it could paralyze you. They're sticking a long needle basically in your back, and it can paralyze you. So basically, while I'm feeling those contractions, and anybody who has gotten an epidural knows how it goes. It's like those contractions are still going on, but you know, the doctor is requiring you to sit up straight, kind of lean your back over a little bit so your spinal cord is straight, and they're going to inject you with the needle, but you have to maintain still. You cannot move, because if you move, it could put you at risk of being paralyzed or just anything crazy, okay? So you kind of have to follow the doctor's orders, but it was just hard because while they're doing that process, your contractions are still coming. So I would say I got hit with 2 contractions during the process. And at one point, I moved. I didn't realize she finished the bottle. So anyway, at one point, I moved because the contractions hurt so bad. Like, my nurse was holding my hand, and the doctor, she was just like, you can't move, sweetheart, you can't move. And the nurse kind of like told her, like, those contractions are serious, okay? You can't blame her for moving. But I understood, you know, where the doctor was coming from. It's a very serious procedure. But after I got the epidural, I mean, I felt amazing. Like, those horror stories that I heard, my experience, either I had like one of the best outcomes when you know, with someone who got epidural, or my story is just different because I felt amazing. It was the best decision I could have ever made. I do not regret it. I don't have any side effects from it. The nurse did say that, you know, it does depend on your doctor and who does it. So thank God I had that lady because she did her thing, okay? And I can't blame her for being serious because she's real about her work. She made me feel like I was on cloud 9, okay? I felt good. So after I got the epidural, you know, it takes a while to kick in. I think it took about like, what, 20 minutes to actually truly kick into full effect. But one thing they don't tell you is that, yeah, it makes those contractions go away, but it numbs everything, okay? That epidural makes you feel like you're paralyzed. So, yeah, it puts you at risk of being paralyzed, but once you get it, it makes you feel like you're paralyzed. You can't move your legs. It numbs everything from, I would say, your waist down. Like, I didn't care either because them contractions went away and I felt good, so I really didn't care. One last side effect to getting epidural is that you do experience some sort of itchiness. I had a lot of itchiness on my chest and I just didn't know where it was coming from, but that is one of the major side effects with getting that medication. It does cause a lot of itchiness. I asked a nurse about it and she did state to me, it's just a side effect. It's common, but do not scratch because if you scratch, it can leave permanent marks on your skin. So that's another thing. When you do get epidural and you do feel that itchiness on your skin, it might come up on your chest or your back. I don't know. If you have that urge to itch, do not do it. Just slightly rub it. because it can leave permanent scars. And once you go through pregnancy, you're already going to get a lot of other permanent scars. So I doubt you want to get some on your chest, your back, your arms. Just don't itch, sis, okay? Just rub. And if you got to rub hard, okay? Okay. So for the fifth thing they do not tell you about childbirth is that you experience a lot of rectal pressure. So I started to experience a lot of rectal pressure towards the end of me dilating. Once I got to like 8 or 9 centimeters, I experienced a lot of pressure in my anal area. And, you know, the nurse did let me know that once I experienced that pressure, it would be time to push. Because that's just, I guess, the baby's head pushing down out of my, I don't know. But my biggest fear, because I did hear stories, like one of my friends, she said she pooped on herself, but she didn't know. And that was one of my biggest fears, because, you know, you never want to poop on yourself, especially if you have your significant other, your family, you know, everybody's there. You just don't want to embarrass yourself like that. But honestly, once you're actually on that bed pushing, all of that goes out the window, okay? I experienced a lot of pressure, and as I was pushing, whatever came out, came out. I didn't care, and I'm gonna just keep it 100. I did not care, you know? So, nothing came out, thank God, but you do experience that pressure. You do think something is gonna come out. At one point, I farted. I think it was kind of embarrassing because it was loud. But besides that, nothing else came out. But yeah, once you do start to experience that pressure, that means your baby's coming within minutes. And you're going to start pushing within seconds. So that's another thing they do not tell you. Okay? The sixth thing they do not let you know about childbirth is that there are a lot of people in the room. Like, I always knew that, okay, if a mother goes in to give birth and she has complications, yeah, like a whole team is going to come running in. There's going to be like over 10 people in the room or whatever. But in my situation, since I was having a normal pregnancy, a normal birth, I didn't realize there were going to be so many people in the room. You know, Riley was preemie because she came really early, but you know, they had the respiratory team, they had the doctor, the nurse, the NICU team, and I think it consisted of over 8 people, and that's just with the hospital staff. And then, you know, you had my significant other, my mom, my best friend, so that's 11 people. But mind you, all those people see what you got going on down there, so they're all looking in your vajayjay, okay? So as the doctor is telling me to push or whatever, everyone's there just looking at you push. And when you're pushing, you have nothing covering up down there. So just be aware that, you know, you may come into this being really shy. You know, you go to them doctor visits every month. You know, the doctor tries to prepare you. The doctor has to stick stuff with gel up your vajayjay to check on your baby. Yeah, you think that's a lot? Wait till it actually comes time to you pushing, because you will have everyone looking in your vajayjay. And not only that, to make it more awkward, is your doctor, sometimes to help open up your cervix or your vagina so you don't tear, is going to take their fingers and kind of like expand the area with their fingers, okay? So while you got all of that going on, that's what your doctor is doing. But you really don't care. You're not going to care in that moment, because your main focus is getting out of the pain and just pushing out a healthy baby. So you're really not going to care, okay? So I remember basically Riley, her head was coming out, and my doctor was like, oh my God, Dad, her head, do you want to feel her hair? And my boyfriend decided he was going to take his fingers and rub against Riley's head. Mind you, she's not out my vajayjay. Just her head is showing to where you can see her hair. Took the fingers and started rubbing on Riley's head. And she asked if I wanted to do it, so I did it too. shoot. So I felt my baby's head in there, and I was like, oh my God, that is so weird. But yeah, so just know it's going to be a lot of people in the room. You can't feel shy. You can't feel embarrassed. Everyone's there for the same focus, and that's delivering a healthy baby, and make sure you're healthy as well. Because nobody wants to run into complications. So all of that pride or whatever is completely going to jump out the window, because when you're going through something like that, you're not going to care. Okay? I guarantee that. For the 7th thing they do not let you know about childbirth is that when it does come down to pushing, and this just might be my experience, the way my doctor did it was every push consisted of 3 separate pushes. So we would count down, you know, we would be 3, 2, 1, push. And then I would begin to push, and then she would say 3, 2, 1, push. And I push again, and then she did it again, 3, 2, 1, push. And that consisted with about 5 minutes each. I would say 5 to 7 minutes each. But the only time you... Okay, so back to what I was saying. So each push consisted of 3 separate pushes. So like I said, she would say 3, 2, 1, push. Push once, 3, 2, 1, push. Push twice, 3, 2, 1, push. Push 3 times. And within that time period, it would consist between 5 to 7 minutes. So what they do not let you know is that the only time you can push is when you're having a contraction. And that's something I did not know going into it. I did not take any birthing classes. I wasn't preparing myself on the pushing process. Nothing. But you know, since I was kind of numb down there, the pushing and the pain wasn't as bad. The only thing I would say is that it felt like forever. Towards the end, you're going to get really tired. And on top of that, it's just when you're actually in the process of pushing, you feel like you're going to bust a blood vessel. Because I put so much energy and strength into trying to get her out the first couple of pushes that my brain felt like it was gonna pop, okay? And then I lost my energy towards the end. And another thing they don't let you know is that during that whole time of the pushing process, it could take between 20 to 40 minutes, which I did not know pushing took that long. I just thought you go in there, you push 6 times and you leave. No, that's not how it goes, sweetheart. You go in there, you push, and it's gonna take a while. So my pushing process took 30 minutes, and I would say it felt like forever. It really felt like forever. But, you know, I think what made it take so long on top of that is you also have to wait for the contractions to hit. So when that contraction hit and you feel that pressure, that's when you could push. So you can't just say, oh, I'm going to push when I feel like it. And the doctor's going to let you know when it's time to stop pushing, because as I was pushing during my last one, Riley's head just completely popped out, and the doctor kind of like pulled her out. But since the doctor did not want me to tear or anything like that to happen, she said, okay, you can stop pushing, you can stop pushing. And the doctor kind of pulled her out the remainder of the way. Like the shoulders part and everything, she kind of pulled her out. So that's another thing I did not know that they do. I just thought you had to push the whole body out and the legs just come sliding out. But no, they actually kind of help you. And, you know, once that head is out and secure, they go in and take the baby out. So the last thing they did not let you know about childbirth is that, dun 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 dun, drum roll, she's asleep. But anyway, is that your baby can end up in the NICU at any point. Any point. You know, a lot of people think, okay, once you get over that 36-week hump, when your baby can actually breathe on their own and everything like that, that you're in the clear. No. It doesn't work like that. I was at 35 weeks, but by the grace of God, Riley came out breathing on her own, everything like that, no respiratory issues. She came out fine to the most point. But don't think because your baby's 38 weeks or 40 weeks or over 40 weeks that your baby can't end up in a NICU. You know, a lot of people associate the NICU with preemie babies and, you know, extremely tiny babies, or babies that have like disorders and stuff. No, that's not always the case. Riley did end up in the NICU because she, I don't know how it happened, but she caught a staph infection while in the hospital. And, you know, a lot of people think the hospital is there to make you better. But what you don't know is that sometimes when you stay in the hospital, you can get sick or you can get worse than what you actually went in there for. So Riley ended up catching a staph infection while in the hospital. So that prolonged our stay. So the 3 days that we were supposed to stay actually turned into, I would say, 9 days. Yeah, I had to stay a full 9 days in the hospital. And normally they don't let parents stay. Like, once a mom is discharged, you know, the mom has to go home, but the baby stays. But due to the fact that we had a couple connections at that hospital, I was able to stay for the full 9 days because I didn't want to leave my baby. You know, as a new mom, no, I'm not leaving my baby. So she got a staph infection. They had to put her on gentamicin and ampicillin at first. And then once they came back with the exact infection, they put her on the drug that infection was most sensitive to. And they had to leave her on that for the remaining 3 days. And that was oxycillin. So, you know, that was just a random, you know, situation that happened, which ended up which is why she ended up in the NICU. So yeah, so don't think, you know, once you give birth and you're over that 36-week hump that your baby's just perfectly fine. And for any reason, your baby can end up in the NICU. So, you know, as a parent, you don't want to think about those things, but it is possible because, you know, my situation was unfortunate, but I'm just thankful that everything is better now. She's good, and that they actually caught the infection and didn't send me home with a sick baby, because I would have got home and not know what to do, you know. But they do, for those 3 days that you're in the hospital, they do monitor your baby and watch your baby. And she had to go in the NICU regardless because she was a preemie. So she was in the NICU. When your baby comes out early, they do require them to stay in the NICU for 24 hours. So she was in the NICU for those 24 hours. But then she was supposed to get discharged with me after those 24 hours. And that's when we discovered something wasn't right, you know. And, you know, babies show signs. Like, even though they can't talk, they show signs. And whether it's through their eating, through their temperature, whatever the situation is, those are the signs she was showing, and that's why we were able to catch it. So, yeah, that was a very unfortunate situation. But at any point, I'm not trying to scare y'all. Just be prepared for anything. But, you know, keep your prayers high, keep your faith, and you'll be good. So anyway, y'all, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe. And I hope you all enjoyed this video. Honestly, it's a beautiful experience. Don't take anything I said as a way to scare you or whatever the situation is. It is a very beautiful experience. It's a blessing. Take it with a grain of salt. Do what you gotta do and push that baby out, okay? But I just wanted to inform y'all on some of the things that, you know, people don't let us know. And that's because they don't want to scare us. But I'm gonna tell you the truth, okay? Anyway, I hope you all like this video. Please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video. You wanna say bye? She's still sleeping right now. Bye.